I'm Carl Anthony, Managing Editor of AutoVision News, and this is AutoSens Insights. We are pleased to welcome back to the program today Dave Tokic, who is the Vice President of Marketing and Strategic Partnerships for Algolux. And Dave, it's good to see you again.
Yep, great to be here again, Carl, and nice to see you as well.
So Dave, we've talked dozens of times, and you're a longtime member of the AutoSens family, but for our viewers who might just be coming to the conference for the very first time, give us an overview of Algolux. Tell us a little bit about the company.
Absolutely. So Algolux, as you mentioned, is quite well known within the AutoSens community, and it's been a really phenomenal environment to really meet with leaders in the industry. And what Algolux is and does, we're an award-winning AI software company, actually a 3-time AutoSens award winner. And what we do is deliver the industry's most robust and scalable computer vision and image optimization technologies. And we were founded really through groundbreaking research at the intersection of deep learning, computer vision, and computational imaging. And our computer vision solution is focused on addressing mission-critical issues of safety for automotive ADAS, autonomous vehicles, as well as robots, fleets, and video security. As you may know, we're headquartered in Montreal. We have about 50 people there, with almost the majority of them in R&D. And we also have offices in Palo Alto, where I'm based, and in Munich as well, which we're growing to be closer to our customer community in Europe.
Sure. So Dave, let's talk about some of that mission critical stuff that you mentioned. So perception is very clearly a central component of ADAS and autonomy. We've seen the studies from AAA, and even in recent press conferences, you've mentioned those studies from AAA involving other AV companies, involving Tesla, for example. So what are some of the key challenges ahead for automakers when it comes to addressing this broader deployment for autonomous vehicles?
Yeah, absolutely. So for autonomous vehicles, we know that full autonomy is pretty far out. We've seen some more pragmatic stances by the industry over the last 12 to 18 months, and we know that volumes are going to be in the 2030 or later timeframe. So we've seen the industry really refocusing on increasing automated functions, L2 plus ADAS, L3 automated driving, and with a big focus on improving safety, but also convenience through some of these automated functions, and in general, driving higher value into these vehicles for the users. But you're right, yeah, very, very relevant insights from things like that AAA report in terms of the gaps in safety and accuracy and robustness of these systems. The AAA report, for example, evaluating automatic emergency braking for pedestrians, and that didn't do very well under not only harsh conditions like low light, but under even good conditions. So we know that delivering very accurate and robust perception is this fundamental pillar, and the industry still has a way to go. So that is one key gap that we've seen numerous examples of, like you mentioned. The other piece, though, is also scalability. And right now, it's super hard for the OEMs and tier ones to, for example, scale their systems to support different sensors, different processors, deal with different architectures, and also how to do that in a timely way and really have immediate impact on improving the systems that are even in production design or in the production design process today that are going to start a production in the near term. Clearly, the longer term arcs give more runway for these companies, but what are the ways that they can scale to impact even designs that are coming out in the near term? So I think these are some of the key issues, basically the robustness, accuracy, and scalability for the industry.
Right. So Dave, we've identified these key issues. And then on top of that, you just have the speed of the automotive industry. You have the speed of innovation. Everything just moves so fast. Everything moves so quickly. But there's still a long design process in automotive. It does take time. So How is Algolux addressing that? And especially when it comes to the accuracy and robustness, the challenges for accuracy and robustness, what is Algolux doing with regard to all that?
Yeah, you hit on a good topic in terms of just the pace of innovation, but I think in terms of how to deal with addressing robustness and scalability, and doing that in a very timely way. We approach it in two different ways. So one is around dealing with current architectures today. So automakers, for example, with computer vision, camera-based computer vision, they are using more traditional pipelines. And what we have is a technology called Atlas, our Atlas camera optimization suite. And what that allows a tier one or an OEM to do is replace or augment the manual camera tuning process, but to achieve a good output image, but specifically targeting improving computer vision metrics. So the Atlas workflow can, even in current designs that are targeted for just around the corner start of production, you can integrate Atlas into the workflow, optimize the parameters of the vision system, and achieve a significantly improved results, anywhere from 15, 20, 25 MAP, mean average precision points, which is a pretty significant improvement in object detection results for these systems. And that can be done on your design today, right? And that's Atlas. So for the more forward-looking designs where you actually have a chance to actually change the architecture, we have actually a full perception stack, an end-to-end stack called EOS that provides all the perception functionality you'd need for ADAS or L3 autopilot, for example. But it's done in an end-to-end fashion that allows us to very quickly apply our really novel training methodology that includes self-learning, unsupervised learning as well, to create an adaptive approach for the particular tasks and use cases that system's being used for, while at the same time providing a massively improved perception accuracy and performance on the orders of like 3 times better than kind of state of the art today under harsh conditions. So 20, 40, 60 MAP point improvement, especially under low light and bad weather. So we kind of look at it as we can impact customers' processes today for, I would call it, immediate impact to the systems that they're just about to bring out, as well as be able to work with them to impact even more for your next generation designs.
Sure. So Dave, this idea of Atlas and EOS, you have what can be applied today and then what can be applied long term. So you have these innovative technologies. What can the greater automotive industry do to better leverage and take advantage of these technologies from Algolux?
Oh, great. So I kind of look at it as we have seen AI approaches like deep learning providing really incredible benefit across a number of different tasks, and is absolutely playing a bigger and bigger role in improving the ADAS and AV functionality. Perception is clearly one big area there. We're seeing just leaps and bounds improvement in computer vision, and we're kind of a success story of enabling that today, and we take full advantage of techniques like deep learning to do that. Obviously, it's a very dynamic area. There's lots of innovation going on, and that's something that's pretty hard for automakers to deal with this pace of change, right? Despite the clear advantages. So there's clear advantages here, but that pace of change really is orthogonal to the way the more traditional automotive industry has been able to drive new technologies into the market. So I kind of see it that there's a need to, one, revisit first the more traditional architectures to be able to take advantage of these best-in-class capabilities across the system. And as I alluded to, the great example is this camera-based perception, right? Which still leverages these traditional imaging architecture that's been built over the decades more for the human eye than for the computer vision algorithm. And so there's a lot of low-hanging fruit there, both from a how do you optimize those existing architectures, like I described with Atlas before, to produce a better result for computer vision. And secondly, how do you revisit that whole architecture to really take it to the next level so that you can get even more gains, like I described with EOS. So I think just really revisiting that traditional architecture approach is one thing. The second really is, I'd say, at a more macro level, streamlining the process that the auto industry takes to evaluate these new technologies in a more quickly and in a real world context, right? There's a lot of experiments that are done out there, but how to quickly get into real world context and try to improve this new technology introduction. It takes quite a long time, multi-year process with automakers today. And unfortunately, that leaves advantages on the table. Like if we have to wait 4 years for, the next SOP for new technology to come out. So what are some ways that we can, the auto industry can be more nimble to accommodate these changes and responsive to new technologies? But of course, we'll be doing that in a way that ensures safety, right? Safety, functional safety, et cetera. And maybe the third thing, it's tying back to the companies that are driving innovation. So most innovation is coming out of startups. I mean, there's lots of great stuff coming out of the traditional automakers and the supply chain, but startups are really pushing the envelope and creating breakthroughs that are of high value for automotive and AVs. And so how to fix this sort of impedance mismatch between the pace and innovation that comes out of startups and the more traditional philosophies that the automakers are used to going through. So so finding a way to improve that process. I mean, we fortunately have done pretty well in working with our OEMs and tier ones, and have been quite recognized by the industry for the advances we've made, but it's still a long hill or long climb, high hill for startups today. And so how to kind of improve that overall innovation cycle is another thing I see. So those are probably the 3 key takeaways I would kind of highlight.
Of course. And so, speaking of OEMs versus smaller organizations, and Algolux is a smaller company, and that certainly works to your advantage. And so let's talk about that for just a second, Dave. And I know in the past you have talked about you're not really a fan of the word edge case and things like that. And so let's go back to what you said at the beginning of the interview, that Algolux is headquartered in Montreal, Canada. And just like here in Michigan, it gets dark early, especially this time of year. It gets snowy, and the scene and the driving conditions can deteriorate very quickly. And that's stuff that we drive in every day. So I want to get your thoughts on that. How does that work to Algolux's advantage, being a smaller company and being based in an area where the weather gets frankly terrible at times?
It can. I mean, Algolux is an amazing, Montreal is an amazing place, and I highly recommend people who haven't been there to go. And to that effect, we are continuing to hire, and it's a great place to work out of. But you're right, we do have access to full seasons, a little bit less so out of the Palo Alto office I work in, or maybe Arizona, where a lot of testing's done. But it is a great advantage for us from a couple reasons, right? One is, yes, we can take our test vehicles and get out and collect really these real world driving scenarios that these systems have to work in. Kind of going back to the AAA study, they were doing these AEB tests under low light, and with these late model 2019 cars, and all of the cars tested failed 100% in the low light scenarios that were kind of replicating NCAP scenarios. That's the real world. We drive in the dark. We drive when it's raining out. We drive when there's fog, there's snow. And so the systems really need to step up to that level. And I think that we have a really unique advantage in enabling automakers to do that. The other piece is that it's a great ecosystem with some really top-notch technical universities or universities of great technical depth, such as McGill, University of Montreal, and others. And so it's a great ecosystem. They're like Joshua Bengio with the Mila group out there as well. So there's a lot of really talented folks that are focused on AI and so on. So it does give us a good advantage there. And then the other piece is that, kind of going back to the kind of low light and weather, is that while it is great to kind of be able to do testing in there and capture that, we do have this kind of unique training approach through unsupervised and self-supervised learning that allows us to really limit the requirement from a training perspective. We can get the training data we have, but we augment that with our training approach. And so I think there's a lot of pretty interesting advantages to being in Montreal. And again, we're hiring, and we have quite a few technical roles that we're looking to fill, and we'd love to bring some more folks out to Montreal.
Well, and with that in mind, Dave, with everything we've talked about, either with Atlas or EOS, or if somebody watching who is an engineer or who is an expert in computer vision, how do potential customers go about getting a hold of you? How do people who are interested in applying for work with Algolux, how do our viewers contact you? What's the best way?
So I would definitely recommend coming to our website at algolux.com. We've got some great benchmark videos where we're showcasing our perception results, kind of the Atlas for EOS, and then Atlas workflows. So great place to learn more about Algolux, and also to come to our hiring page to see what we've got there. I do want to call out for the AutoSens Detroit. One of our architects, Doug Taylor, will be presenting on optimizing vision systems for computer vision. So that'll be hopefully a really great opportunity to learn more deeply of that workflow. And then again, visit us on online and social media, whether it's LinkedIn or Twitter as well. So come follow us and learn what we're doing. So plenty of places to come learn more about Algolux.
Dave, Algolux is always innovating, and there's always something new and exciting. But with that being said, in the last few minutes that we have, is there anything you'd like to add or anything you'd like to summarize one more time for our viewers?
Yeah, for sure. Again, definitely appreciate people listening in. And for us, we are all about perception, all about robust and scalable perception. And that is really a dialogue that I'd love to continue to have with the audience. And more specifically, see if there's just ways Algolux could collaborate to continue to improve the state of the art, whether it's at a particular OEM or tier one, or just from more of an industry standpoint. How do we make these systems as good as they can be, and get that there as quickly as possible?
Of course. Dave, from all of us here at AutoSens, we want to wish you the best of luck going forward in 2021. We'll look forward to getting caught up with you at a future conference in person. We can have a cup of coffee and we can talk about all this. But until then, thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Carl, and be safe. Yep.
For more great content from AutoSens, visit our hub or our YouTube channel. Just search AutoSens.